Hey, it's time for Talking Microsoft, episode number 18, Windows, the Next Generation. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe and hit that like button. That's very much appreciated. So it's been 3 years since I did the last episode of this program, and I thought I'd probably never do it again. But going back in time and looking at the views and the comments, it really was a lot of fun. And I have found a way now that I can incorporate making this show into part of my weekly routine. So hopefully that I'll be able to post a new episode once every Saturday morning. So thanks so much, and I look forward to your comments down below. This is the first episode in 3 years. There might be a glitch or two during the recording of this episode, but we're going to do our best to talk about Microsoft because I am a fan of Windows and Windows PCs. Always have been. And yes, I also own a Mac, but when it comes to productivity and gaming, you just can't really beat the Windows PC for most people. So let's get started on the first topic, and that is Microsoft teases the next generation of Windows. And I don't know about you, but I am excited to see some changes coming. Now, there was a fireside chat between the VP of Microsoft Corporation product manager, Roanne Sons, and their chief product officer, Panos Panay. And they made a couple interesting points, but mostly talking about that the future Windows is incredible and it's going to be coming to the table for sure. Now, what are they referring to? Well, I think they're talking about the new Sun Valley build of Windows, and it's supposed to be released in the second half of 2021. So that would be the newest version using the Fluent 4 language. And not only that, but consistent around the entire Windows interface, because as we know, there are some inconsistencies in the way things look within Windows. So this could be huge. This could be the great big refresh that we're all looking for in Windows 10. So according to an article on Tech Radar, a concept video was created by the Hacker34, also known as Kevin0304. He made a 1 and 22 second showing a video using the Fluent 4 design language. It is a concept video. This is not the final product or even maybe what the product looked like in general. But there's with all the information out there about Sun Valley, you'll definitely see effects such as motion blur, a more consistent uniform interface, changes to the start menu. There's a lot that's going to change in this build. And I, for one, can absolutely tell you I am thrilled to see a major refresh in the UI of Windows, especially if everything looks the same and works pretty much the same throughout the Windows operating system. I think that's going to be huge. So the next big story is something that, Mac users have had for a while. It's called Automator, which allows you to think of it as a super macro creator on OS. Now it's called Mac OS. And well, guess what? Microsoft has also come out with what's called Power Automate Desktop, which is based on an enterprise application, the company they bought. And you had to pay $15 a month per user for this thing. But now Microsoft's making absolutely free, and it's going to be available to anybody who wants it. Think of it again as super macros on here. It comes with over 370 different actions that you can use. I think this is a big deal. It's especially if you have to automate a lot of tasks, do a lot of repetitive stuff. You can set up these super macros, if you will, and Windows can automatically do all kinds of things by itself. This is going to be a great tool. It's going to inspire a lot of creativity, and it's going to increase productivity. I say kudos for Microsoft for making this free. This is something I think a lot of people can use in their everyday productivity. And free, how can you beat that? As a matter of fact, right now you can download it for free and try it out. But Microsoft is talking about making this and just baking it right into the next generations of Windows. So I hope to see that happen. So one thing I wanted to inform you about is Spy Pixels in your email. Let's talk about that right now. So if you're not familiar with this, a lot of companies do email marketing. I do it as well. I use a program called Zoho Campaigns. How do we know when you open an email? How do we know where you opened it, or what device, I should say, you open it on, when you opened it, and more? Well, it works by using a silent pixel or a small pixel within the body of the email, and to give back statistics to the email marketer as far as opens, reads, etc. A lot of you folks may not be aware such a thing exists. According to an article in BGR, in digital world of pervasive surveillance, many people probably don't realize that messages sent to their email account are being spied on. This is done through the use of trackers, sometimes called Spy Pixels. They're tiny inclusions in the body of the email. You know, is this a big deal to most people? Let's just talk about it very briefly. The idea, of course, being an email marketer, is you want your emails going to people that would have an interest in what you are marketing. You're not shotgunning, you're not spamming people. I don't spam people. I only market to people who have reached out to me first with interest in the products and so forth. But running an email campaign, maintaining subscribe, unsubscribe, that kind of thing, all the statistics, because you pay for this service, you obviously want to make sure that you are studying the analytics of the email as well. If I send out 10,000 emails, I want to know what percentage of the folks opened it, how many went unopened, I want to know how many bounced, et cetera, et cetera. I want the list automatically clean up. So you use these services, but part of the way they get that data is through these Spy Pixels. It sounds worse than really what it is what I'm trying to say. But nonetheless, this is just an FYI. The more you know, right? The rainbow thing. The more you know, Spy Pixels in your email. Okay, so I came across an article on makeuseof.com, 5 reasons not to buy a gaming laptop. All right, as the proud owner of a brand new Alienware M15R3, bought it right at the beginning of the year, on sale, of course. I used to go by the handle Frugal Tech. Is that the word you use? Whatever. I believe in saving money. I also grew tired of big, massive desktop PCs, and I wanted something slimmer and something that could be portable if I wanted to edit video, in the bed at night or on the couch or whatever. I wanted that capability, and so a gaming laptop seemed to make the most sense for me. And so when I seen this article, I had to say there's probably going to be based on just kind of generalities, and I think I'm right. All right, let's talk about reason number 1, you do not buy a gaming laptop because they don't have the best battery life. I would say with my Alienware, I get maybe an hour and a half, and that's with the 8-core i7, 32 gigabytes of RAM, 1 terabyte SSD, NVMe SSD, and RTX 2070, not the Max Q, but the 2070. So yes, it's a power hog, but you know what? Basically, I can plug it in, no problem. I really don't necessarily game unless it's plugged in. You will find on many, many gaming laptops that you will see the machine throttled down if it's not plugged into the wall because it's not getting all the power that it needs. So that is, I think, kind of be expected when you buy a gaming laptop. Maybe you're traveling, you're in your hotel room, plug it into the wall, the power brick, and then you game. Just to sit on an airplane and game, no, that's not really what they're going to do, especially if it's a very powerful gaming laptop. Moving along. Reason number 2, they lack upgrading options. I think most people that buy them know that's part of the deal. As far as no upgrading options, I don't think so. They said lack of. Basically, in many models, you can upgrade the memory and you can upgrade storage. But you can't change out power supply, graphic cards, or CPUs. So yes, but again, we know that going into the deal for most people. Moving along, point number 3, they're hot and noisy. Yeah, okay. With my Alienware, it definitely ramps up the fans big time when I'm playing Flight Simulator, especially Flight Simulator. But again, I think most people understand this. You're normally going to be wearing a gaming headset to hear the audio, especially using it with a laptop rather than desktop speakers. So you probably really won't notice that fan noise too much. Maybe a kind of an inconvenience, but I think that the pros, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Number 4, console gamers, gaming laptops are a lot more expensive. Yes. But console gaming isn't all that portable, is it? Again, you always have trade-offs. I don't get this one that much, but okay. Number 5. For desktop PC gamers, it's more cost-effective to build an upgraded gaming PC. A desktop gaming PC, you're right, unless you want to take it with you. Then it's a whole different ballgame. Try getting my, I got an Alienware desktop. The thing weighs 62 pounds. I don't think I want to take that through the airport. So I think you get my idea. Look, this really insults the intelligence, I think, of people buying gaming laptops. They are improving. They are getting way better, number 1. Number 2, the portability alone makes it a great value proposition, even though many of us are stuck at home through the pandemic. But to have that kind of power in such a small device is just simply amazing to me. And I think that they're offering more value for the money than they used to. So, it's just the difference between buying a car and a truck. They both will take you from point A to point B, but it's a different form of transportation. And with a gaming laptop, you're obviously paying a premium for that smaller size and that portability. And I recommend gaming laptops now more than I do desktop PCs for most people, if you're into gaming. There you have it. And that's just what I want to talk about in this particular article. Speaking of gaming, AMD announced the availability of the RTX 6700 XT. This is supposed to be the Mac Daddy of graphics cards for 1440p gaming. Okay. And I personally am thinking about purchasing one for my Mac because I use a eGPU, and right now it's got a Weakling RX 480. So I'm thinking about that as a possibility. Now, these are going to sell for around $450, and I believe they're going to be available for sale around March the 18th. If you've been looking at graphics cards, the price is just insane, or they're out of stock. Cryptocurrency has taken a huge bite of the market on graphics cards, driving up the price. Just want to enjoy gaming. So anyhow, AMD announced the 67 XT, the 4th GPU to be born into the RDNA 2 family. And this thing is just supposed to be an absolute monster. 12 gigabytes of video RAM on this thing. Is going to whip the 2080 RTX 2080 Ti, the RTX 360 Ti, and the RTX 370, when we're talking about, of course, NVIDIA, Team Green, if you will, in all kinds of AAA games. And I don't think that many people are doing 4K gaming right now anyway. 1440p, I think, is probably the sweet spot for a lot of people. There's still a ton of people doing 1080p. My new Alienware laptop is 1080p display, and that's perfectly fine for me. But 1440p would definitely be the sweet spot. Blows these things away. The RTX 6000 series was, I think, introduced back in October of last year. Let's just take a look at some of the specs on this. You have the 2560 compute or stream processors. Compute units, as they call it. 40 texture units, 160 rate accelerators, game clock of 40, boost clock. What is it? The game clock is like 2424 megahertz, boost to 2561, 12 gigabytes of memory, 96 megabytes of infinity cache. Should have a 650 watt power supply. I got to check this Razer back here to make sure that I can feed the beast if I buy one of these. Retail price, $479. Try to find the RTX 6900 XT for $999. Good luck. I'm probably not going to find it. Okay, I always like to end these with what I call news of the weird. Now, this actually happens to be about Apple, even though this is talking Microsoft. Let's jump into it. So, an M1 Mac user says Apple ID held hostage when payment failed. So here's the story. Let me see if I can find his name on here. Dustin Curtis goes and he buys a new MacBook Pro from Apple. At the checkout, he was offered a trade-in for his prior Apple MacBook Pro, and he took them up on it. Apple said, okay, fine. Within 2 weeks, you'll get a box to send the old one back to us, and then you get the credit. So he opted for that offer, and the box never arrived. Then he didn't think about it anymore. Well, apparently Apple tried to charge his credit card for that trade-in value that they gave him at the time of purchase, but he had changed banks and it wouldn't work. So as he started using Apple services, they started shutting down, getting messages basically telling him that he was locked out of his account. Apple was locking him out of his new MacBook Pro because of this simple issue. And he tried to get it resolved. And Apple's even sent back emails with spelling errors, were not all that helpful. Essentially, they disabled his Apple ID. And if the Apple ID was only disabled on the Mac, that would be seems fair enough. But in this case, it appears to be that Apple attempted fraud and Apple was rendering the machine less usable. But if its ID was disabled for all devices, it seemed to raise a bigger question. iCloud account could easily contain time-sensitive business information. So he's locked out of iCloud the whole 9 yards because of that payment. Wow. I guess the point of this article is you better make sure if you're doing the trade-in with Apple that you got the correct credit card information and banking information with them, because if not, that new Apple device you got, it probably ain't going to work. That's it. That is this episode of Talking Microsoft. Let me know what you think. Comment on the stories down below. Thumbs up if you like it. Thumbs down if you hate it. Bruce Naylor, your Boomer Consumer. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next week.